Guess who's back? Back again. Just kidding. This is me. Hey, friends. I'm here today to share with my friends who are just starting dating and those of you who are learning about boundaries. And this comes from a conversation I had with someone very dear to me who said they're dating someone new and they said, I'm feeling a little concerned because we never really have any arguments. And I'm afraid that my partner's not being truthful and that later they're going to be upset. And so we started talking about boundaries and what that looks like and how in a healthy relationship you work on boundaries together, you develop them together by exploring and getting to know each other and by talking truthfully about what is life-giving and what is not life-giving to you. And with this person we talked about their partner and how it's possible that maybe their partner is just easygoing and they really don't mind and nothing has come up for them yet because they haven't been together long. Nothing is coming up for them yet that's like significant enough that they would want to say something. It could be that their partner has learned that, I'm going to get along and I'm going to say that I'm going to not argue and I'm going to just be good so that everything can be okay. Like they've learned if I don't rock the boat, then I'm in connection. If I do rock the boat, well, then I might get left. I might be not wanted, whatever else. Oops, I got to adjust my camera a little bit. So, yeah, so we had this conversation and just talked about what could potentially be happening with their partner, but also helping this person take responsibility for themselves because we can make all these guesses about our partner, but we don't know if we don't ask them. And I tell my kids that all the time. I'm like, we don't know what we don't know. That's part of learning. If you already know it, you're not learning. So it's okay to not know things. The problem is never trying to learn or pretending like you know when you don't. And so, ask your partner, do you feel like you can be honest with me? And really do some self-work and self-reflection, like how do I respond when my partner shares something that is hurtful? Do I get defensive? Do I shut them down? Do I turn into a victim and explain away what I do? And I read this book back in 2020 or 2021 called The Pandora Problem: Facing Narcissism in Leaders and in Ourselves. And it's a Christian book written by an author named Jim Wilder, who I really admire. And he calls himself a neurotheologian. And that basically is like he's a psychologist, a licensed psychologist, and went to seminary. And he takes his faith in what he's learned about psychology and brings them together. And I love it. And the book was really helpful for me personally as I recognized some narcissistic tendencies and traits in myself, specifically like vulnerable narcissistic, where I turn into a victim or everyone's against me. And he had a phrase in there that self-justification is the narcissist's greatest weapon. And I'm not saying anybody's a narcissist. I'm not saying this person I was talking to is a narcissist. I'm just saying when our partner or someone we care about brings us something that we've done that's hurtful to them, do we hear them and try to understand, or do we justify ourselves? Because one of the most difficult things in life would be to make it before the throne of God and for him to say, well, Millie, she was right in her own eyes. And I don't ever want to be right in my own eyes. I want to be right in God's eyes. I want to be in right standing with him in the way that I treat others, in the way I treat myself, in the way I treat him. And so when it comes to relationships, we have to really look at, how do I respond? Am I a safe person that my partner, my child, my friend, my boss, whatever, can share with me how they experience me? And do I receive that and reflect on that and then change behavior if need be? Also, if you're hearing that like pitter patter, that sound, that's my dog Kobe. He's literally just walking circles around me right now. And apparently the camera's too close to my face because you can't see him real well. So let's see if I can go. There he is. Hi, Kobe. So he's really sweet, and I hope he doesn't bark during this video because I don't know how to edit things, and I will have to restart it, and I can't do that. So, shh, Kobe. Anyway, the other thing, and I think this is the most important point of this topic I'm sharing with you guys today about boundaries, is there's two ways to express our boundaries. And when I think of boundaries, a lot of times people think of boundaries and it's like, this is how I keep toxic people out. And we put up a big wall. And the reality is, boundaries are a wall, but they're also a door. And boundaries are the door that someone can come through to love us well. And the way that we share boundaries is simply by, there's two ways. There's when you're approaching something that someone did that was hurtful or you didn't like or was unkind. And when that happens, then you're going to take kind of a two-step, a three-step process. The first is to say, when this behavior happens, I feel whatever it is you feel, and I would prefer this instead. Can you do that for me? So first is, this is how I feel. This is what I would like. Can you do that for me? That's asking, right? So if you ask the first time and your partner, your friend, whoever says like, oh yeah, I can do that, and then they don't do it, well, then you go on to the next step and you say, this is how I feel. This is the thing I don't like. And here's how I'm going to protect myself if it happens again. And that's how we set that kind of boundary. When someone does something hurtful, we say, this is the behavior. Sorry, we say, this is how I feel when that happens. This is the behavior. If it happens again, here's how I'm going to protect myself. You'll notice it's not an ultimatum for them. It's not a demand of change of behavior for them. It's not blaming them. It's taking responsibility for ourselves and saying, I feel, I need, and I will. I feel this, I need this, and I will give myself this by that. So, for example, say that you're, this is the example I give to the person I was talking to today. Say that your significant other is at work and you guys have plans at 9 p.m., which is a little late in my opinion, but whatever. You have plans at 9 p.m. and all of a sudden 9 o'clock comes, you don't hear anything. They're not there to pick you up like they said they would. 9:30 comes, 10 o'clock, 10:30. All of a sudden they're an hour and a half late, and then you hear from them. And by this time, you're probably, if you're like me anyway, feeling like abandoned, feeling full of rage, feeling like the biggest piece of crap in the world, feeling uncared for, all those things. So then when your partner comes an hour and a half late, you simply say, sweetheart, if you call him that, babe, honey, whatever it is, wookie wookie. When you tell me you're going to be here at 9 o'clock and you don't show up or say anything until 10, I feel really uncared for and I do not feel important. I'm totally okay that work took longer. I understand that. But in the future, please let me know that you're going to be running late. That's it. It doesn't have to be a fight. You're just telling them how you feel. And most likely, hopefully, if they're healthy, they'll say, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I can totally see why you would feel that way. And I'd probably feel the same way too. And I will definitely do my best to text or call you next time. If they say, well, I had to work, you should just be over it, get it, like whatever, I can't help it. That is not healthy. That's not value. That's not love. That's self-justification. That's minimization. That's rejection of your experience. And so you have to decide if you're going to continue in a relationship with that person, because that is not like that's showing that they're not willing to grow or reflect, and they're actually going to fight with you, and they're going to make you feel small or justify themselves. So then you have a choice to make, which only you can make. The other way to express boundaries, which this is my preference, and in my relationship with my husband, we've experienced just this like huge, we've been together 22 years. We have 5 kids and have gone through all kinds of, like, anything that you could think of negative that happens in a marriage. We've done it and we've made it. God has been so good to us and we're so grateful. But it's been a long haul. I'll say that. Anyway, my husband, we recently have been rebuilding a completely new marriage, and I love to set boundaries with him in a different kind of way, or to show him my boundaries in a different kind of way. And that is to speak life and love into the things he does that I love and that make me feel good. And so For instance, say that this situation that I just said about the person being at work and their partner not coming or whatever, say that you have plans with your partner. This is what it would look like to set a boundary in a different way. Okay. So you have plans with your partner at 9 o'clock. At 8:50, they text you and say, hey, I'm so sorry. I know we had plans at 9. I'm running behind. I'm not sure if I'm going to be 1 or 2 hours. I can't even give you a time. So if you want, I'll still come. Otherwise, we can reschedule. Sorry about that. And then the response is, thank you so much for letting me know. I feel so valued, so cared for, and appreciate it so much that you let me know this before you were late. And sure, that makes me feel really loved. And sure, we can reschedule for another time. You finish up with work, don't worry about it, and we'll touch base tomorrow and make another plan. So instead of setting the boundary like, hey, you did this bad behavior, instead you're speaking life into the good things that make you feel loved. Both ways, you're showing your partner what the door is into your heart that helps you to feel loved, what makes it open and what makes it close. And so I encourage you, begin, because if you're not setting boundaries for yourself, you're probably not being authentic. And if you're not being authentic, you can only stay in a loving and connected relationship for so long, because it's not actually loving and connected. You can only fake a loving and connected relationship for so long. At some point, when you're not being authentic, you are going to wake up and you are going to be incredibly upset, and you are going to feel like you've been tricked or betrayed, when the reality is your partner's been tricked and you have been betrayed, but it's by yourself, not them. So I encourage you, start setting your boundaries. Do it with love. Speak them firmly, clearly, and kindly. Healthy partners, you don't have to fight with them about what you need. You simply state it, help them understand why, have a brief conversation, and move on. It doesn't have to be drama. It doesn't have to be fights. You don't have to prove your worth to someone who knows you're worthy. So I encourage you, set your boundaries, receive love, and give love. Sergeant Sister out.